If you are a highly intellectual person, here's the trick you're likely playing on yourself. Hey, I'm Chrissy, the emotional intelligence nurse. Let's get in it. So, if you're really intellectual, if you're really, really smart, if you're really good at reading people, maybe you're really empathic, you're very attuned to other people, shifts in tone, the language that they use, you are really good at reading in between the lines. Here's the trick that you're probably playing on yourself. So, what's actually happening is, whether you like to admit this or not, but I'm going to say it, is that you are outsourcing your emotional safety. You are outsourcing it to other people. The trick that you're playing is that if I can get ahead of their patterns, their tones, their emotional shifts, if I can read and sense the emotional climate, I can stay safe. I can help regulate them. I can understand them. And then, therefore, I can be safe. But the trick here, the thing that we're missing when we do this, when I do this, or if you do this, is that we are so attuned outside of our own physical body. We are attuned to other people, whether it's an intimate partner, whether it's a parent, a child, whether it's a coworker that you struggle to get along with. You become so attuned to their internal environment, and not explicitly their internal environment, what you perceive as their internal environment. You get so attuned to your perception of what's going on emotionally for them that you subsequently start to disconnect from yourself. Where that keeps you in a loop of chronically overanalyzing, being empathic, being highly in tuned and intellectualizing and analyzing somebody else's emotional states from just what you perceive, you disconnect from your own. So your emotional safety becomes a process where it is always external, and it will always depend on somebody else's state. And then it will therefore depend on your ability to read their state, to analyze and interpret, and then to make sense of it, and for you to kind of say or navigate, what's my next move? How do I navigate this? How do I feel good in this relationship again? Where that creates a lot of mental stimulation. It creates a mental loop that we get caught in chronically. It outsources our safety to the other person. And not only to the other person, it outsources our emotional safety to that process. And what happens is that that process never ends. It is emotionally exhausting. So this is where you can be really emotionally intelligent, you can be attuned, you can be all of these amazing things, and you are emotionally exhausted. You are depleted. You are not depleted by deficit or something wrong with you. There is absolutely nothing broken. What is happening is you have become victim to this outsourcing of your emotional safety by overthinking and analyzing the other person. The way that we stop doing this is we recognize that we're doing it in the first place. The way that most of my therapy clients recognize they are doing this is through their emotional exhaustion. I'm doing this, and I've said this, and I've used the communication tools, and my partner still doesn't get me, or it's not working, or I don't feel anything, or I don't feel relief. That is your red flag that you have outsourced your emotional safety to a process outside of your very own body and to the body of somebody else's. And you are trying to access that emotional safety through your mind, through overthinking and analyzing, through trying to get ahead of the emotional environment and navigating, what can I do to make it better? What can I do to feel better, to feel more connected? That is your first step, is noticing that you're doing it and that it is an external, outside of you process that you are doing. The next thing is, this is where deep dive counseling comes in, but the next thing is to look at, with compassion, why, when, where, and why did I start outsourcing my emotional safety to somebody else? Now, for many of us, there are lots of different answers, but if I were to just give you a little bit of relief here, the common theme that I see in the counseling room is that we learned this in our young human bodies when our connection, our relational capacity, absolutely depended upon someone else. So that is a natural part of being human. It is a natural developmental process. What happens for pretty much all of us humans, myself included, is that in that developmental process, in our emotional relational connections, we learned that if we were attuned to our caregiver or caregivers, the primary people in our life, that we stayed safe, we stayed connected. Our nervous system is literally wired for safety and connection. We seek it out whether we are aware of it or not. The shift that happens is as we continue to develop, as we continue to grow, we start to learn that we are separate from our caregivers. We start to learn we have a sense of I. Now, some of us get a little bit stuck where we're kind of enmeshed, or we stay stuck to attuning to other people and their bodies and their emotional states, trying to feed ourselves safety through that. But that shift that I'm talking about is when you start to realize you are separate and you can start to discern this is my emotional state, that is their emotional state, and you start to build and cultivate your own emotional relationship with yourself, with your body, and you can start to soothe and ground yourself in your own state instead of jumping up out of your body and into somebody else's and what you perceive and trying to create a sense of safety and belonging through that external connection to someone else. This was a big piece of a bigger conversation. I'm Chrissy, the Emotional Intelligence Nurse. What are you taking away from this? Throw it down in the comments. What do you want to add to this conversation? Throw it down in the comments. Share it for other people to learn and to grow. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more information just like this.